Brother Mario, she submitted. She submitted. I'm going to tell you that God will let these kinds of situations come after time 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 after time. He'll let these things, He'll allow these things in our life until we learn to submit to them. Until we learn to submit to God. Now the enemy has no power against us. Amen. Matthew 7:7. Don't bargain. What? You're not going to make a deal with God.
Amen.
God, I promise you get me out of this one. I'll never say it again. And 2 minutes later, Peter said, Jesus said, I'm about to die on the cross, guys. They're going to take me. They're going to bind me up. And you're going to see me hanging on that cross. I'm going to do it for all mankind. And Peter said, you ain't, as long as I'm living, as long as I'm alive, I'll go to prison. I'll die for you. Just minutes later, he denied Christ. The same day. The same day, Brother Mario. 24 hours hadn't even passed after he said, oh, I love me some Jesus. How many of you said, I love me? God knows my heart. But the stolen property is in your pocket.
There it is.
But we're like a loaded gun. We have one in the chamber just in case somebody comes against us. No, they got to walk in love, brother, because they're Christians. I can say what I want. No, listen to me. God holds you responsible for what comes out of your mouth. Don't bargain with God. Be direct. Ask for what you want. Ask for what you need. Say need. Ask for what you need. What do you need today? I'll be honest with you. I don't need that vacation. I don't need that big screen TV. I don't. I didn't need the Sea-Doo when God blessed me with that. I needed a watercraft. I didn't. What I needed was peace in my heart. And I needed wisdom to deal with my family. I needed to get out of the old ways and into the new ways. That's what I needed. Come on. I needed to grow by faith. I needed to walk by faith. I needed to learn how to walk in love. Pastor Andy said it many times in his messages. I didn't know how to love because I never was loved. So what he needs is to learn to walk in love. That's how you defeat the old man. What do I need? I need to be prepared. I need to not let my mind control me. I need to be mindful that what comes out of my mouth is either going to help Ronnie and his family or going to lead them in the wrong direction. I need to recognize that every time I pop open this Bible and I put this mic on, I'm saying something that God's going to use to either diffuse the situation or create a bigger fire. And that matters to God. If I'm being hurtful to you, that matters to God. God will deal with me. If I'm not watching what I say, or if I'm preaching what I'm not living, that matters to God. That matters to God if I have the heart of a shepherd. That matters to God. Turn to someone and say, that matters to God. Don't bargain with God. Be direct. Ask for what you need. Go to verse 8 real quick. It says, this isn't a cat and mouse hide and seek game we're in. Go to the next verse, verse 9. It says, if your child asks for bread, do you trick him with sawdust? Go to the next verse, verse 10. If he asks for fish, do you give him with the... Do you scare him with a live snake or on his plate? Go to verse 11. It says, as bad as you are, you wouldn't think of such a thing. You're at least decent to your own what? So don't you think that God, who conceived you in love, will be even better than that? In other words, if we know how to be good to each other and we can think of ways of being a blessing to each other, God is the one that gave you that mindset, and God can bless you in a mighty way if you just gain His heart. Amen. Ecclesiastes chapter 5. Ecclesiastes chapter 5 and verse 1. And leave it in the Message Bible. You're not going to make a deal with God. Because God knows your heart. Turn to something, God knows your heart. Ecclesiastes chapter 5 and 1. Watch your step when you enter into what?
God's house.
Say this out loud. I am God's house. Say this out loud. We're in God's house. It says, watch your step when you enter into God's house. Enter to what?
Learn.
Enter to what?
Learn.
Enter to learn. That's far better than mindless offerings of sacrifice doing more harm than what? Trying to bargain with God. Go to the next verse. Don't shout off, don't shoot off your what? Oh, hello somebody. We heard drippy faucets. Amen. Nonsense. This is Pastor Andy's good right here. Type of teaching. Don't shoot off your mouth or speak before you what? Before you what? Don't be too quick to tell God what you think He wants to what? So let me ask you a question. Do you think this woman said, you're right, but even the puppies eat the scraps off the table? Do you think she was just blowing smoke to God? Do you think she was just telling him what he wanted to hear? Or do you think she was really sensitive in her heart? She meant what she said. She meant what she said, and that's why she got what she got. Her daughter lived.
Amen.
Amen.
Say, she meant what she said.
Amen.
Now, real quick, just the woman with the issue of blood. She was healed by what she said. She responded to what she believed.
Amen.
She touched the hem of the garment of Jesus, and she was willing to give her life to test what God could do.
Amen.
She said to herself, I'm going to get up and I'm going to go and I'm going to touch Jesus, and His word is going to heal me.
Amen.
Listen, don't shoot off your mouth or speak before you think. Don't be too quick to tell God what you think He wants to hear. God, who's in charge? Say, turn to someone and say, God's in charge. Say, God's in charge, not you. The less you speak, the what? Oh, go to the next verse. I love the Message Bible. Overwork makes you what? Makes what? For restless sleep. Overtalk shows you up as a what? Go to the next verse. When you tell God you'll do something, what? Do it when? When? Now. Say now. Some of us are serving God on credit. And our debt is too big. And He's saying, I can't do one more thing for you until you start responding to what you say. Listen. You'll do something, do it now. God takes no what? And foolish gabble. Vow it, then what? Turn to someone and say, do it. Go to the next verse. Far better not to vow the first place than to vow and what? And not pay up. Go to the next verse. Verse 6. This is what I want you to get. Don't let your mouth make a total sinner of you. When God called to account, when called to account, you won't get by what? How many of you say, oh, I'm sorry, Jesus. I didn't mean it. Yeah, you did. Yeah, I did. Yeah, I did. Because we could fill ourselves up with the Word of God and we could be different. You won't get by with sorry. I didn't what? I didn't what? I didn't mean it. How many of you ever said that? Why risk provoking God to angry what? You know how God retaliates? He leaves you in your mess until you learn something. Go to the next verse. Go to the next verse. But against all illusions and fantasy and empty talk, there's always this rock foundation. What? Fear God. Keep going. Keep going. I want you to see this. Don't be too upset when you see the poor kicked around, injustice and right violated all over the place. Exploitation filters down from one petty official to another. There's no end to it, and nothing can be done about it. Go to the next verse, and I'll explain it right now. But the good earth doesn't cheat anyone. Even a bad king is honestly served by, say, field. In other words, whatever you have, when you work it the right way, it'll yield a benefit. In other words, don't come to God and say, I need more before I'm blessed. God's saying, take what you have and walk in the blessing, then I'll provide more. Amen. Come on, somebody. Amen. Go to the next verse. The one who loves money is never what? With money. Nor the one who loves wealth with big profit. It says more smoke. Go to the next verse. We're going to go to verse 12. The more loot you get, the more what? Looters show up. And what fun is that to be robbed in what? Broad daylight. Go to the next verse. This is where we'll finish. Hard and honest work. Say word. Work. Earns a good night's sleep. Whether supper is beans or what? Steak. But a rich man's belly gives him insomnia. And so right here, what King Solomon is saying is that the more you have, the more debt you get into. You can have a little bit with God and truly walk blessed. Because when your kids get sick, you can release your authority. And God is waiting for Sister Cindy to release her faith. God's waiting for you to release your faith. God's waiting for you to speak to that mountain. God's waiting for you to say, God, I'm going to be all honest with you. I don't know what I'm doing and I need your help.
Amen.
God's waiting for you to take somebody under your wing and just be a blessing. God's waiting for you to just invite somebody somewhere instead of always being invited. God's waiting. All these people in the church, listen, how many have ever felt lonely? How many have ever felt alone? Come on. We have, right? All these people God has given us in the church. Why should we feel lonely? You want to know why? Because we stay in our misery instead of getting up and doing something about it. Instead of getting on the phone and calling somebody. Right? Brother Jesse, yesterday we were walking. We went to walk and tell the people to come that there was hot dogs and water and chips and stuff at the park. And we just started talking about some stuff, you know. We talked and we shared. And I never knew squirrels went underground. I thought they just went up trees. Yeah. So I was like, check out that squirrel. And he was like, yeah. He's telling me about his time we went camping and stuff. And